Hello tankers and tankettes, and welcome to a pair of viewer replays. And actually this is the inaugural use of the portal to just find some replays to actually look at. I will still be diving into the enormous pile of email submissions from time to time as well, but from now on I will be having more of a focus on my new replays portal, and you will be able to find a link to that below. So this is Scrub US in the Sherman Jumbo. And he's in a tier 8 game, and that's actually what both of these matches are going to have in common. They're both going to be tier 6 medium tanks in tier 8 scenarios, but they're also both going to be tier 6 medium tanks that can better cope with that than maybe some of the others can. And I have to say, tier 6 medium tanks overall, it's a pretty good tier. There aren't that many that I would say are really truly weak. The Type 58 maybe, or the, what is it, the 3001P, and I'm struggling to think of any others that might be considered to be especially lackluster at this tier. Just the rest of them seem to be fairly decent. So, this is Scrub US. Did I say that already? Anyway, yes, he's in the E2. He's got the derp gun, of course, and he's almost certainly also got the stock turret, because that's what you do in the E2. It is one of the very few tanks in the game where the stock turret is better than the top turret in some regard. And in this case, it's got better armour, although for that better armour, you obviously have slightly fewer hit points, and I think something like 20 meters less view range. So you're a little bit blind for a tier 6 medium tank, but this is more like a pseudo heavy tank anyway. It's got some pretty nice frontal armour. Now you also get this tank in War Thunder along with a bunch of the other Shermans, and it just is not nearly as effective in War Thunder just because of the way the game mechanics work. At least that's what I've read. But here in World of Tanks, it's a fairly nice machine to play. And you've actually got an interesting choice for both the tier 6 US mediums. You've got the mobility of the Easy 8, and then you've got the armour of this thing. And because he's in this position where he can kind of only expose his turret to those guys down there, it's not at all an uncomfortable place to be, although it's a little bit risky. If I were in his position, I quite possibly would have done what that TVP did and just dropped down into the middle, because this is a lot of the enemy team. This is, in fact, the majority of the enemy team. They do have one low tier heavy or bottom tier heavy at their base still, and it looks like their E2, well, he just kind of YOLO'd into a bunch of tanks, and they've also got T20 down in the south there as well, but everything else is basically here. So this is a little bit hairy, but there's only a couple of tanks paying attention to him right now, and of the damage he's taken, actually, a bit of it was done there by that VK, and that VK's actually got what looks like the 75mm, because this is another tank where it can mount a 105mm derp, and you usually see it with the 105mm derp, and for some reason he decided not to use it. So if there was more stuff down in that middle area, this would be a much riskier position. He could get shot from the back all day long. His butt is hanging out in the wind here. But it's actually the fact that his team controls all of that area and the enemy team are basically all here means that he's been able to hang on and actually, you know, he's taken one or two hits, but for the most part, the potentially scary tanks have thus far ignored him. And that's quite useful because he's now a one-shot for the IS-3, certainly for the T-34. The Oni could probably derp him easily. And that IS-3, well, if the IS-3 decides to turn and blap him, that could be a problem. But he's clearly decided that Scrub US is less of a threat. He actually wants to get round here and help his Oni. And that is not, particularly under the circumstances, an incorrect decision to have made for the IS-3. He's prioritised this engagement over stopping to aim and try and kill Scrub US, but maybe he'll wish he had, I don't know. Not that it's going to make that much of a difference overall. So Scrub is just, like, he managed to get the low health Oni kill, and if you can get a shot into the IS-3 then okay, but it's a little bit tricky. However, at this kind of an angle, if you can get the engine deck armour, you can actually get HE penetrations with this kind of derp gun, but it's a little bit tricky. So it's at this point that the Cromwell that's up there finally decides to start taking some pot shots at Scrub US, and I don't know why he didn't do it earlier. He really could have. He could have gotten in a couple of hits quite easily. Scrub, still very wary of that IS-3, has decided to face off against the heavy tank number 6. And he really doesn't have to worry about that guy so much unless he was firing premium ammo. IS-3 finally turns his gun, but Scrub's in a position where he can just drop down if need be. And again, the IS-3 decides, you know what, it's not worth it. We're just going to keep chasing this TVP. However, we can see at this point that the enemy team has well and truly lost. They absolutely all bunched up in one place and failed to push through. And that has cost them the match. Now, as this is a 9:15 game, this is the patch where I had no mods installed whatsoever, so we're going to have to wait till the end to see what the results are, but it's not going to be bad. Now that IS-3, last one alive, decides, screw it, I'm going to go down with a kill. So he does finally kill Scrub US. And he could have at 2 or 3 different points during that, but no, finally at the end he does. But, you know, under those circumstances, you're not going to be too mad about it. So, 2,700 damage done with another 900 assistance damage. That was worth an ace tanker, and he also had a Confederate medal to go with that as well. And for his efforts, he was actually at the top of the team in terms of his XP with 1,428. And I don't know why that's sorted by damage rather than XP. I normally remember to sort it by XP. But anyway, he would be top of the team in either category. And then we can see the results, and yeah, all those bounces added up. 4.2k bounced damage. That's not bad. That's not bad. Normally, you have to be top tier to truly get effective use out of the E2 armor. But in that case, even being bottom tier, it still worked out for him. Next up, we have Anthedon here in the Cromwell. And much worse matchmaking. Look at all those tier 8s. Scrub US, at the very least, had a bunch of other tier 6s on the enemy team that he could have potentially shot at. And, you know, in some cases did shoot at. Anthedon, on the other hand, yeah, look at this. Over half of each team is composed of tier 8s. And he is one of only 2 tier 6s on his own team, and there's only 1 on the enemy team. This is going to be somewhat trickier. This is also maybe not an ideal map for the Cromwell, but given the fact there are no light tanks on either side, he is basically able to sit here and act as the team's scout. Now, he's got binoculars and a camo net, which I don't see very often on the Cromwell, and the fact that he's going to do certain things and get away with it makes me also wonder if he doesn't have the camo skill on his crew as well, although he doesn't have paint. So, I don't know, but it's not a usual setup. Anyway, that Tiger 1 gets picked up by the binoculars, and those 2 medium tanks that are a little bit behind Anthedon, well, the Tiger gets tracked, repaired, gets retracked, because one of those is the T-69, and at this point he's just screwed. Now, the other 2 medium tanks couldn't hurt him, they were just bouncing off his side armour at that point, but Anthedon was in a perfect position to just keep hammering away, so that's his first bit of damage and his first kill. That's not bad. Now, this T-69 has not seen him. Anthedon, in fact, does have 6th sense. And so that obviously was just, you know, the guy was firing at where the shells were coming from. He knew there was something firing from those bushes. The fact that Anthedon got a bounce there in a Cromwell is pretty lucky. But even the T-69, with not the greatest tier 8 medium tank gun ever, easily has enough penetration to take on a Cromwell. The Cromwell is not known for having good armour. But somehow it bounced, and somehow Anthedon did not get spotted. So, like I said, maybe he's got a camo crew? I don't know. At this point, the T-34-100 and the T-44 just seem to decide to go for it. That's going to prove to be a somewhat fatal decision. Now, the fact that they are going forwards means that suddenly all these tank destroyers that were there get spotted, and that's fine. That means Anthedon can actually fire at these guys, but it means they're not going to last very long themselves. Now, the T-44 sort of stops before he completely overcommits, unlike the T-34-85, but the T-44 is not going to last in that position either. However, Anthedon at least is making use of the opportunity to whack away at this Jagdpanther 2, who's got a very nasty, dangerous gun. So he's done a bit of damage, and he might actually get to do a bit more if the guy keeps showing his side armour like that. The frontal armour at this range, you're not that likely to be able to get good penetrations with the AP, but If he's gonna, no, he keeps turning aside. He keeps turning aside, which is just completely unwise. I did note that Anthedon, I mean, his ammo loadout, he's got a decent amount of AP, but the rate of fire on this is pretty good. So he's actually now got less AP available than his APCR, but he's also got 10 HE shells. And this 75mm HE is not that good, so it's maybe more HE than he really needs to carry in a Cromwell. Occasionally it's useful if you meet like a, Rheinmetall Borsig or something like that, but, there is a Borsig in this game, and we don't actually, I think, see him use HE until the very end, and it's going to be a very odd time to use HE indeed. So once again, the binoculars proving extremely useful. ISU gets tracked out in the open, and Anthedon's just plugging away at this guy. And there we go, that's another kill. So he's killed so far a Tiger and an ISU. The Jagdpanther 2 gets spotted moving, and because he's moving along that path, this is all lovely shots on the side and rear armour. One more should do it, and that'll be another tier 8 tank destroyer. So there we go, that's his third kill. Yeah, that's not bad so far, considering how very, very bottom tier he is. And he's almost certainly done better damage-wise and kills-wise than a majority of his team up till this point. Although there are some other tanks that are dead on the enemy team as well. It's not just him that's been killing stuff. So looking at the minimap, we can see that his own team have pushed through the town. And oh, that's a nice target. Low health T69, and that's a very nice kill. Very low health, not worth that much in terms of damage, but getting that extra kill is nice. Yeah, they've pushed through, but they've taken a lot of attrition damage as they've done it. And we know that there are still some tank destroyers back here near the enemy spawn as well. Now that's a potentially nice shot on the Tiger, but he notices just a little bit too late. He had a nice window there, but by the time the Tiger had backed across, he only really had a chance for one shot. So yeah, it's just the OI and that stock Tiger 1 in town. And then in the valley, we've got a T-34 Super Pershing, and no, it's the Oni in town. The OI is in the valley. Yes, there we go. I just saw the O at the edge of the minimap, and because Japan, everything has to be called O, apparently. There's a thing with Japan, though. You'll get these kind of, like, passenger ships and cargo ships and whatever, all having that Maru suffix, which has some significance that I know that I looked up at one point, and now I just can't remember. So, they have the upper hand, but this enemy base, I mean, trying to go over that open last bit of ground towards the enemy cap circle, it's a little bit tricky if you don't have the sufficient numbers, and this is where having this middle path becomes especially useful. However, he's just been spotted, tries to back up, bumps into the AC, and then decides he's going to go forwards and try and use the terrain here instead. But it's not a particularly it's only a slight rise in the ground, so it's not like he's got a lot of protection. It's just the fact that they're not hitting him that's saved him from taking any damage so far. So he spotted the T-28 prop, took him out. The Rheinmetall's looking this way, and he might even get a blind kill here. There we go. 5th kill. He actually got a bit more damage out of that one as well. And that just leaves the last couple of enemy tanks. Now, the T-34 did kill most of the stuff, the Allied tanks that went to the valley, but it doesn't matter at this point. He really should have been in the town, all things considered. Given that this was a 2 artillery game, going to the valley in your heavy tank is a bit of a fool's errand. So there's one arty, and it might have been nice to get a tracking shot here maybe, but he doesn't quite get in that second hit before the AC does. And at this stage, he's on his HE, and I think maybe the HE was for the artillery, and this is going to cost him his top gun. Yes, he fires HE, realises he's fired HE, does queue up an AP shell after he'd fired the second HE, but no, too late. That could have been a very nice top gun, and instead, oh well. However, despite not getting the top gun, he did still get a very nice medal. That's a Nichols medal. That is for killing 4 tanks that are at least 2 tiers higher in a medium tank. So he killed 4 tier 8 tanks in that machine. So the matchmaking actually, it meant he got a nice medal. And again, top damage on his team in a bottom tier tank. and it's not like he had to spam APCR to do it, so that was kind of lucky. He had lots of side shots, he had squashy things to fire at. He didn't have to come up against like the T-34 being hull down, or the Oni, or I mean the OI he did come up against right at the very end there, but it's one of these ones where the circumstances just worked out in such a way that everything was all very nice and neat, and he wasn't really in particularly high amounts of danger at any point, even if, say, the Rheinmetall had hit him in that latter part of the battle where he got spotted. He still could have survived that, potentially, although he could have been unlucky and not survived it, depending on RNG rolls. So, there we are, pair of Tier 6 mediums in Tier 8 games, and go check out the replay site. You know, this is what I'm going to be doing from here on forwards. Go check out the portal, and it's. I'm not going to go through all of my old, videos, all 700, nearly 800 of them. Well, it's not even that many for World of Tanks, because obviously there's warships and other games as well, but the many hundreds of videos where the description still has the old replays email, I'm not going to go and amend those, but from now on it will be the link to the new site. So yeah, go check it out and upload your replays if you want me to potentially show them on the channel. So hopefully you've enjoyed this pair of replays, and if you have, you can hit the like button, you can leave any comments below, you can sub to my channel if you haven't already, and as always, stay tuned for more.